Welcome back to the podcast. I'm the co-host, Keone McKeegan. With me today on the Fifth Down, on my boys from the Fifth Down, Nolan Chang, Jared Shirai. Save us up to the pod, boy.
Hello, everybody. What's up?
Still new.
Oh,
Feels really nice, though. You know what I mean? Anyway, we are here to do our final mock draft. So we're going to be doing a Superflex, happy PR, all the good things. And this time, this is going to be a tough one, I think, because all of us will have to draft from our spots where we will be drafting this coming week, which I am so damn excited for. You guys will actually be hearing this podcast on the day that we'll be drafting over in Vegas, which is this coming Friday. We are so damn excited for that trip, but most importantly, yeah, this is gonna tell a lot about where we are, what our minds are thinking, and all that sort of stuff. So if there is one mock draft for you to be really keen on, it's this one right here, because we will be giving you all of the insights, all of the things we're thinking for our own personal league. Obviously, we won't have all of the caveats because we won't be having the keeper situation, so it'll be a little bit different. But outside of that, I'm very curious to hear what you boys say. So before we do anything, we have to give a shout out to our partners over at Dubby Energy. Fantastic tasting energy, all of the energy you need to get through your day. You head on over to Dubby.gg or use the Dubby Energy app and our promo code, which is POI and Soy. That's POINSOY for 10% off your order. Boys, let's talk some NFL fantasy football.
Okay. Ready.
We are ready indeed, boys. So we're going to go ahead and, as we've been doing the last couple of times, pull up the Sleeper app. Yeah, I got to say, Sleeper has been kind of a banger for the last few that we've done here. They've been really diversifying the picks for us, and it's been making it pretty interesting to go through the process. So for those who are listening on the audio side of things, we do have Nolan at the 4th overall pick, Jared at the 7th overall pick, and myself at the 12th. 13 turn, how people want to call it most of the time. So let's start off this mock draft and get to drafting, boys. Good luck. That's all I'm going to say.
Come get it.
Wow. Okay. Bring that energy. I like it.
Come get it.
Here we go. Kind of as we expect, we got Bijan Robinson, Josh Allen, and Jahmyr Gibbs as the first 3 picks before Nolan. So, Nolan, what are you going to do here at pick 4?
You know, I already know how, at least just based off on our actual draft, it's going to be a little bit different just because a couple of the guys that were, all 3 of the guys that are taken right before me are actually keepers for this upcoming real-life draft. So I am just going to play this a little bit more funsical. Is that the right word? I don't know. Go, Jake, man.
Stupid. No.
Stupid. After me was Puka Nacua, CMC, and then Jared, you're up. Damn, them bots got you locked down, Jared.
They knew
what you've been doing. You did 2 in a row picking your guys. So I was like,
all I know is that I was actually really gonna take Christian McCaffrey just because
we know.
because that's literally what's gonna happen in my draft. So I wouldn't have a first pick anyway. Mm-hmm. But as we move forward, I think I'm just gonna take. I'm gonna kind of run with Keone's.
Also, did you even mention who you drafted, Nolan?
Yeah, I said Drake May. I said I'm taking. I clicked it and then just goes Drake May, and then
I didn't hear Drake May. But if I'm not taking one running back, I'm just gonna take another running back, and that's gonna be Jonathan Taylor.
I like that pick.
Ooh.
Oh, I was about to say, if that dude falls to me at the end, that's going to be
after Jared, it was JSN, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and now it's him.
Yeah, obviously this is going to be a Superflex league, and I kind of understand the argument for maybe grabbing a Lamar Jackson right here, but actually, you know what?
You have the
12-13 turn, yeah. So I'm going to talk through it a little bit. Obviously we have a lot of players going off the board. All the elite QBs, in my opinion, are already off the board, at least from kind of what we did with our rankings. There are some guys that I know have some higher upside here, but I'm going to avoid those for a second just because we do have, a little bit more time here. We don't have to reach on those guys just yet. typically I would have gone with sort of the double, you know what I mean, position thing here. I'm just gonna go with the top best available. Go ahead and grab Lamar Jackson because this is a super flex. So I'm gonna go snag him at the 12th pick, and with my 13th pick, yeah, I don't want to grab James Cook here. I know he's the top available guy. I know there's a lot of people who believe he could be RB1 this year. That's not where my head is at, and I don't really fully buy in on that he'll be sort of like this workhorse role that a lot of people are believing he's going to be for Buffalo. I feel like there's just too much factors with the way Josh Allen uses his legs, new offensive coordinator, just a whole lot of different things that I'm not really liking about the James Cook situation in general.
Yeah.
So he's not somebody that I really want to grab here. As I'm looking through the wide receivers, there are a few guys here who I believe do have some upside. But as I know typically happens with these drafts, the wide receivers, there's going to be some good values later on down the way. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the first running back here, which is Ashton Genty.
I don't mind that.
Now moving over to Boog, we got James Cook, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Drake London. So we did have a little mini wide receiver run. Boog, what are you thinking here with the second pick?
Because we are in a super flex, I think I'm going to go and grab my quarterback here. I think Caleb Williams had a great year last year. We've seen a great upside from him and whatnot. But also the next quarterback that is available in Jackson Dart does have a brand new offense out there. He has a lot of upside coming up into this season, and he's a player that I would be 100% willing to take a shot on to lead my team this year. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to grab Jackson Dart here.
Oh. Wow. I like Boog and the bold moves. So after Jackson Dart, we did add Devon Achane, Caleb Williams, and now to Nolan.
Yeah, I'm surprised he actually fell down to me, but I get it. Amon-Ra, probably one of the safest floors you can find in a wide receiver in the league during today's game.
Wholeheartedly. I'm surprised he fell to you, to be honest. I thought he was for sure going to be one of the next ones taken, so that's pretty crazy.
So, I mean, I'm not going to dwell on this too long. St. Brown seems to be the logical choice. Get me a lot more safe points week to week. He's also a tank. You know, like he'll fight through injuries as much as he can unless he has to sit out. So I appreciate that much more from the player. So I'm going with Amon-Ra.
I like that pick. Nice little run there. We got Saquon Barkley, Trey McBride, Jalen Hurts, Kenneth Walker, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Herbert. So a lot of QBs in that little roundabout. So Nolan, right back to you. Who do you want to pick here in the third round?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the flow of this draft for me specifically is to kind of like just diversify, settle in each of my wide receiver 1, QB 1, running back 1. I don't see any issue with taking Amari Hampton right now, so I'm going to take him. I like what the Chargers have this year. I like what he's showing entering his second year. I like that they have Mike McDaniels. Everything's pointing up for him, so keep it sweet and simple. Boom.
Like that pick.
Heading into Jared's third pick, Trevor Lawrence is now off the board. Bo Nix is now off the board, and now it's Jared.
I think kind of like in the same regard of what Nolan is thinking, kind of wanted to get my RB1, QB1, wide receiver 1 here. New home, great quarterback. I think that it's only logical that you kind of take A.J. Brown here. He's a top-tier receiver. Like I said, he's in a new home. He's probably going to be a little bit happier. We know he's going to take touches away from a lot of people, and I'm sure he's going to be one of the target favorites. So I'm going to go here and snag A.J. Brown.
Heading over into Keone's third, Nico Collins is off the board. Fernando Mendoza, George Pickens, Jeremiah Love, and now it's Keone.
Yeah, kind of going with the similar theme that we've all been going through of setting those different skill positions. Just the way that the draft has been falling, I'm going to go ahead and grab, I guess first, because there is somebody who is higher that is available, I'm going to go ahead and grab Chase Brown with the first pick here at the turn. I like the floor of a Chase Brown. I think that this year he's going to be one of the safest best bets, especially with the Cincinnati Bengals being one of the higher scoring offenses in all of the league, and really their defense not. I mean, they did improve. I actually can't say that, but I was just like, but still a team that's going to be trying to score a bunch of
very
points
high
this
of
year.
a bar to be better than them.
Hey, they got Dexter
better.
Lawrence now, you know.
Yeah.
So things are looking up. But anyway, going to add Chase Brown here with the first pick at the turn, and this is kind of where things are going to get interesting because I feel like I have a couple of options here. There's a couple of guys that I do like around this area. More specifically, there are 3 staring me right in the face here because I do have Brock Purdy, Brock Bowers, and Chris Olave, who I do like all 3 of the talents. I do want to grab one of them. I do believe them all to be sort of in the upper echelon of their positions. I would say actually all of them probably in the tier 1 rankings for myself. If I were to go like, 1 through 12 kind of situation. So, yeah, this is a tough one. If I have to pick one here, I'm actually going to not take Brock Purdy. I do believe in the MVP conversation stuff around him this year. I'm looking at Brock. I'm looking at Chris. Just the way that the draft is playing out thus far, the way that everybody's diversifying their picks, I'm actually going to go ahead and grab Brock Bowers here.
I mean, you're still diversifying in a sense.
My
right?
mouse just froze up. There you go. Right on. We've got a Malik Neighbors, Dak Prescott, Josh Jacobs, and Brock Purdy off the board over to Boog. What do you want to do here at the 4th round?
I mean, he fell to me. We talked about him. I'm pretty sure I drafted him the last time. He's got a great quarterback, young quarterback that he's built a lot of rapport with. I do want to kind of lock up my wide receivers here, and he's the best available. Chris Olave should have another breakout season with Tyler Shuckett at the helm. I think it's a safe pick to take him in this regard because the next person is probably going to take him if I don't.
Yeah, very good point. Rashee Rice, Tedroy, and McMillan are the next 2 picks. Now over to Nolan.
Yeah, I think in the past couple mocks that I did, I definitely tried to shy away from him, but not necessarily going to say I'm coming around, but I'm not going to also doubt his talent and what he can still bring, even though he's much later into his career. And I think it'd be smarter for me, at least at how this draft has been looking, to lock up some stronger running back talent. I am still a little, it's a tough decision to talk about. Like, I'm wary about Bucky Irving being re-injured and then being out for however many weeks. Any player can get injured at any time. It's more of just your mental mind state and how you're viewing things. But I do like what Bucky's been showing in training camp. But I think I'm going to lock in with the king, Derrick Henry, and keep it trucking.
Keep it trucking indeed. That was a great pick. We got Javonte Williams, Bucky Irving, Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, and Luther Burden off the board. Back to Nolan.
Yeah.
Damn.
This is one of those turning point moments. I have faith in some picks that I think we're going to pay off deeper in the draft as long as I am able to probably snag them at the most opportune moment. I am probably going to wait a little bit longer on trying to reach for a QB. I think I have time for that as well as a QB2. And do something that I don't think I've done thus far. I'm going to take 3 running backs in a row. I think I'm going to lock in with Breece Hall. I have a strong running back room with Omari and Hampton, Derrick Henry, and him. And hopefully, having one of those guys in the flex is actually going to pay off a lot more than I was.
I swear that's the exact same trio that I grabbed in that one draft too. I was
Was it?
I like this. I approve of this.
I hope you would. All right. Heading to Jared, it is Travion Henderson off the board, Jordan Love, and Jared's up with his 5th.
I hate being number 7. I'm being honest about this. Because it's like you're right dead center and you have to kind of figure out who's going to go before, who's going to go after, and then you got to wait for the turn because you're dead center waiting. And I
Trust
think
me.
for
Welcome to
me,
my life. I'm sorry.
You can give me Christian McCaffrey, and I'll give you the 12th.
I mean,
I
that's
mean,
not a bad.
I might,
I'm kidding.
I
I'm
might be
kidding.
mad about it, bro.
He's like,
No, no. As I'm looking
I
toward
hate
it,
the middle, to be honest. I was like, I know
yeah,
we've kind of
it's
already
the
discussed
worst.
this. The middle is, honestly, it's. I know there's a lot of people who don't like to wait too long, so that's why there's people who like to be in the middle. I just don't like what you just said, that having to like
the
there's like
waiting
the math
age.
of like, okay,
yeah.
Exactly.
is it gonna run before
Is it
me,
really
after
gonna
me?
happen?
And then, yeah, and you're gonna just have to keep waiting. It's rough.
Well, for me, I had 20 seconds, but I mean, I kind of want to lock up another running back. Like everybody's kind of going off the board. Everybody that I kind of want to look at, and I believe in this offense a lot, and so I'm gonna just grab Travis Etienne here, to kind of double up with my Christian Olave.
All right. Heading to Keone's pick. Etienne is taken off the board. Oh, sorry, no. Kyron Williams is taken off the board. Devontae Adams, Zay Flowers, and Igbuka.
Not gonna lie, the guy I wanted fell to me, so I'm pretty stoked about it. Gonna go and not really overthink it, but like you kind of already have seen or heard, I guess if you're listening on the podcast side of things, do have my QB1, do have 2 running backs and an elite tight end. So I'm gonna go here and grab my first wide receiver off the board because Lad McConkey did fall to me at the end of this round. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab him. Believe in the upside. Really like him this year.
Nice.
After this, unfortunately, there was another player that did fall to me in Colson Loveland, who I do really like, but I'm not going to go the 2 tight end route. That's
That would
at this
be
point, you know what I mean?
insane.
Well, I mean, Boog did it that one time, and to me,
Yeah.
it does make sense because you do have flex spots. So technically speaking, it's not
And
like
it's
it really
2
matters.
usable targets. Pretty much
Yeah,
one as a
and
wide receiver, if we're being honest.
Especially this year, yeah. I mean, like we just have a bunch of guys who are really, really good at that position. I'm mulling over a couple guys here at this point. Honestly, just really comes down to the fact that one of the guys that I really believed in has an injury right now, which is Devontae Smith. He's showing questionable. I know that it's still training camp. There's still a lot that can be ironed out and all that stuff. But just that little bit of a worry is something that I don't like to like grab right away when I'm looking at my wide receiver room, especially if I'm going to be locking in on somebody that I'm going to have be my wide receiver 2 this year. And actually, as I'm about to say that, I'm not going to make the move that I was about to change to. So I'm actually going to just take Devontae Smith. I believe in the upside this year. I think he can be an elite wide receiver 1. To me, his talent level is so high and above what he's been
His
producing
ceiling
the
too
last
this
few
year.
years. Yeah, and without A.J. Brown there, he's going to be an elite talent. So Devontae Smith here at the end of the 6th round. Or start of the 6th round, excuse me. And exactly who I thought was going to go after me. Colson Loveland went off the board. Then Quinshawn Judkins, Terry McLaurin, and Baishaw Tootin. Man, sleeper.
Wow.
Well done. You know what I mean? This feels very reminiscent of how yesterday went. So, Boog, back to you. Who do you want to grab here in the 6th round?
I mean, if it wasn't Colson Loveland, this is the next guy. I think I took him in every draft that we already had. He's pretty much like their wide receiver 1 there. He's a favorite target. He's one of their most used targets. And part of that offense is Daniel Jones coming back. I think that's where Tyler Warren literally exploded off the scene. So
Yeah.
I think it's just a safe pick to kind of round out like my starting lineup here to go ahead and grab Tyler Warren.
Really like that pick.
All right.
DJ Moore, Jameson Williams, next 2 picks going back to Nolan.
Yeah. This is, intermittently in my kind of thought process. Baker is one of the QBs I was waiting for to see if I can pick him up in a later round. So he is going to be my pick. It was going to be kind of just a situation if he was taken right before me, then I would kind of switch gears, move things around.
Yeah. I feel that.
Pivot. Thankfully, I have 6 picks before it gets back to me.
I almost reached for him at my turn, but I was just kind of
Yeah.
I was like,
Just because right after this, like you have a sample size of what Baker can bring to you in fantasy compared to the QBs that are going to be following right after that. So it makes the most sense, especially in the Superflex, to take him here and still kind of hold steadfast on what I can pick up later for more position players. So, Baker.
We got Cam Scatterboo, Mike Evans, R.J. Harvey, Jared Goff, Christian Watson, and DeAndre Swift. Back to Nolan.
Yeah. I have two trains of thought right now. But it is also something that one of the guys that we've talked about a lot during the pod during this off season that I'm looking at right now. Still one of those. He's been showing out a lot during the training camp right now. When it comes to a tight end position as well, I think I can still hold on maybe another round or so before I really have to dig in for that. So I am with this pick going to take Carnell Tate because I do like the upside of what he can actually bring to Tennessee. And hopefully Cam Ward actually does some good stuff this year.
Feel that.
Heading over to Jared, Harold Shannon's taken off the board, and then Jordan Tyson.
Well, here's my dilemma because what Nolan said about Cam Ward, I really like where he's been and where he's at with everything. But there's also another quarterback that's like right there that we've been talking up, and I mean to triple up with the New Orleans. And that's my only concern, just because I will have a weird bye week in week 8. I could think I have 50 seconds to think about this because
you go ahead. Yeah,
Tyler Shuck. I think for me, Tyler Shuck has like that steady ground, that big upside because he is in that offense and he's finally getting a starting role. But I do like the way, like I think though, as I watched the quarterback more, I kind of did fall in love with Cam Ward a little bit more as well.
You did.
So it's
you did.
so like knowing the kind of dog that he is and what he did, where
he's
he was
a real
at.
student of the game.
Exactly. So I think this is where I'm gonna pass on Tyler Shuck and I'm gonna go after and I'm gonna take Cam Ward just so I don't triple up on that bye week and to actually see the big upside of the draft pick that everybody was talking about, the number 1 overall, to see where he goes in his sophomore season.
Heading over to Keone's next pick. Let's see. CJ Stroud's off the board. David Montgomery, Tucker Kraft, Bryce Young, and now it's Keone's turn.
Yeah, I guess you can kind of see where our heads are at. There's like a clear, like we have obviously the elite tier of QBs that we're all comfortable grabbing and all this sort of stuff. And then there's sort of like this weird tier of like second tier receivers and running backs, and then another set of quarterbacks that we're kind of okay waiting on or whatever. So I feel like that's kind of been the theme here. And honestly, the guy that I wanted fell to me. So I'm going to go ahead here, grab Tyler Shuck with this pick, and then kind of mull over the second one because, yeah, like I said, we're at that weird time for myself at least, where I feel like there's a lot of guys who have a lot of good upside around this point. But you're buying on a lot of upside here, which is why like the last couple of drafts I've had a little bit of tough time filling out those starting positions just because I've been having to grab guys that aren't established yet, have to like try to find somebody who I think can show out this year. And that's thankfully not the position I'm in right now because I did fill out the starting group. Now it's just guys that I can kind of try to buy on the upside here. But because the board fell the way that it did, and there is somebody that I still think has a relatively safe floor here. I know, man, I'm looking down here and I see a couple of names that I'm actually interested in. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of lock up my running back room here and grab a guy who I do feel is still going to have a lot of usage in his offense. Somebody who I obviously, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, believe will prove that he belongs on the field. I mean, he's the best pass blocker we have out there right now, and especially when you have an old Aaron Rodgers who trusts him a lot. I'm just going to go ahead and grab Jaylen Warren here with the 8th round pick.
I dig it.
Now we got Kyler Murray, Cortland Sutton, Kyle Pitts, and Rome Odunze back to Boog. Yeah, clearly the sleeper app agrees with us. There's a clear tier of quarterbacks that like nobody's grabbing right here. So back to you, Boog. What do you want to do here with the 8th round? I know. Well, there's one that probably if you fell to you guys and you didn't already have your second QB, you would have. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
third
I had
QB?
him last
Nah,
year.
just-
I had him last year. No, I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
But
yeah.
this is okay. So as we're going later in the draft, we're in the 8th round. I'm kind of looking at my team. I kind of got 2 good running backs that I trust to have a good floor, or be explosive for me, get me a lot of points. But it's always that wide receiver room that I always try to stack up on for at least my teams. I feel like, and as I'm looking at it, I mean, there's like 2 of them or 3 of them that I'm kind of looking at. Like there is the DK Metcalf, the Old Faithful with Aaron Rodgers, and then you'll have a high upside of a Makai Lemon that I'm kind of looking at. And then I'm kind of going with Mr. kind of right in between of the two because he's kind of established himself there. And I think with that being said, and with 15 seconds left, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab Jacoby Myers out of Jacksonville.
Great pick.
And the 2 guys that I wanted literally went right after me. So it's like, like
Sleepers listening.
I know you were talking out loud. They heard you.
Hey.
Yeah, so DK Metcalf, Makai Lemon were obviously the next 2 picks over to Nolan again.
Yeah. It's a weird cluster of players right now. They're just kind of sitting at the top of the list. None of which that I definitely are considering, but it's like a modge podge of weird positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the point in the draft where I'm going to start reaching down a little bit deeper in the ADPs to kind of see which one I would really get. For this one specifically, I am looking at probably a wide receiver. I still got a little time before I need to pick up that tight end, which will probably come around on the next wrap. But yeah, keeping in the same vein as Jared, I'm liking what's going on in Jacksonville, but I'm actually going to be going for Parker Washington. I've been hearing a lot of good things in training camp. He looks like he might be clearing away the target hog, and he was already one last year. So I think that going up this season is going to be fantastic for him.
Great pick. Good little mix of players here. We got Sam Darnold, Rico Dowdle, Sam Laporta, Ramondre Stevenson, Kyle Monungai, and Brian Thomas Jr. back to Nolan. So we got 3 of you guys fighting over which Jacksonville Jaguar wide receiver is going to be the top dog.
You know what? I mean, I would hope it's 3 people. I hope not one team has multiple of them on the same roster.
They want all the points from the Jacksonville Jaguar offense.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
But you could also get 0 points. Yeah, I
Who's
think
even their
I'm definitely
backup
gonna.
right now?
Sorry, what?
Who's the backup right now for Trevor Lawrence? I'm gonna look
I
it
don't
up.
know,
Go ahead.
actually.
Sorry, keep talking.
No,
Yeah.
you're good. Yeah, I'm
Nick
gonna
Mullins.
pick up a. Yeah, I'm gonna pick up a tight end on this one. He's not necessarily in the hovering at the top of the list, so I'm gonna go search for him. Yeah, and I'm taking Isaiah Likely with my tight end position.
Well played.
Great pick.
Heading over to Jared, Tony Pollard is off the board, and Michael Wilson.
Sleeper app is literally like on my computer looking at who I want to take every single time.
Where watching you, Jared?
That's how I felt drafting at the 6th spot. So I'm feeling you right now. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so I hated when we were. I was like, my gosh, it's like I couldn't catch a break on each of the turns.
No, for real. Like I've been looking. I was like, I was looking at a running back because I kind of want to get that 3rd running back on my team, fill out that running back room. And I was honestly looking at Tony Pollard because I was like, oh, okay, Tennessee, and it was kind of between him and Chuba. I think at the end of the day, Chuba's gonna get usurped by Jonathan Brooks if everything goes the way it should be going. But I think until that time, I believe, like, as I'm looking through all the running backs that are kind of right in that area, I think he's a safe floor for me right now to just be viable until that Jonathan Brooks thing does happen. So I think I'm going to grab Chuba Hubbard here.
Oh,
I hate drafting 7.
and heading over to Keone's pick, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Godwin, J.K. Dobbins, Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, kind of on the opposite side of that take. I'm going to go ahead and do the Jonathan Brooks pick. Been kind of saying often that I do firmly believe that he's going to take over that RB1 role. There's a few guys here who are sort of in that elite handcuff territory, which, I mean, it's nice to have, but when you have the opportunity to grab somebody who can usurp somebody on the depth chart just in general and not from like a in case they get injured situation, you roll with that. So I'm going to go ahead and reach down here for Jonathan Brooks at the first part of this turn. And to continue on there, I'm actually going to be looking at the wide receivers, see who is available here, because I do want to kind of do not aiming to do this, but I'm in the spot where I can afford to do this, of going kind of back and forth if I need to, between the two positions. Looking over some of the names here, there's a guy I do really like here at the top, but he is still injured, and we're still waiting on news from that one. A couple of other guys here. Stephon Diggs just got signed. We got, of course, Michael Pittman here. Had to double check to see who. Okay, I was like, who are my wide receivers right now? All right, two not bad guys here sitting, staring me in the face here. Yeah, a lot of stuff coming out about Tennessee, so I do like Wan'Dale Robinson, but I'm actually going to go ahead and pick somebody who, just from a play standpoint, somebody who I think could really pop this year. Actually, you know what? No, I'm actually going to go with the Wan'Dale Robinson pick, because I do really believe that he's going to be a top-tier guy for Tennessee. And I think Cam Ward, man, there's something about, I don't know, maybe it's just the quarterback hype, you know what I mean? You're just believing in the kid. I know Carnell Tate has been
kind of going on.
He's been number one. Carnell Tate's been number one, that's for sure. But Brian Daboll, man, he really likes Wan'Dale, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab the kid here. So pick 10, Wan'Dale Robinson. All right, we got Blake Corum, Oronde Gadsden. Why did I forget his name? Alec Pierce, and then Dalton Schultz back to Jared.
As I'm looking at it, we talked about the Chuba Hubbard thing, and then how you took Jonathan Brooks and the usurping and whatnot. I'm actually gonna go into a little bit of reach here, just because we've talked about this team before as I've drafted through the pod. They have no running back room, and this guy has signed here. I think he will be the running back, the RB1 at the end of when the season comes and when the time happens. And I think that guy's going to be Rashad White.
Yeah, I like that pick.
Yep, I like that pick a lot too. Dallas Goedert, Hunter Henry, now to Nolan.
Yeah. I think
we're in the end game now, fellas.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I think how this is playing out for me right now, I think because I stacked up my running backs, I think I'm going to wait a little bit to take a fourth on that one, just to kind of go for maybe like an upside play later on in the last, 2 more rounds before I got to pick a defense and kicker or whatever it may be. Yeah, and you mentioned him. I had my eye on him. If I could, I was going to put him in my queue before it even got to you. But I'm very intrigued with the Stephon Diggs signing. We've talked about exactly what Jaden Daniels needs. He kind of needs that little safety blanket slot player. Stephon Diggs brings that. I don't think he's really lost a step considering how well he performed last year with the Patriots. So I am going to pick up my fourth receiver, Stephon Diggs, here.
Yep, I thought about him too.
When is it my turn?
We got Jawan Johnson, George Kittle, Jake Ferguson, Jordan Addison, James Conner, and Brian Robinson. So back to Nolan.
Yeah. Whew. I am going to be stressed out when we're at the cabana.
I keep thinking about it, and I'm like, I know we're going to have a good time, but we're there. Preferably, we're going to be there like 9, right, when it opens or whatever, and then we have till 12 till the actual draft. So I just imagine those first 3 hours, couple of, couple of adult beverages to, get the feels and make sure the nerves aren't super. But then I'm like, I feel like I'm not going to, it's just going to be concentrating so hard on my list and stuff. So it's going to be rough.
You know what?
I'm so excited, though.
Yeah. I'm not going to overthink this one. I think he has a very capable quarterback. I I think that this is going to be a nice, fresh restart for him on a new team this season. He is kind of stepping into potentially a bigger target share than his teammate DK Metcalf, so I am going with Michael Pittman.
Nice.
Nice pick.
Going over to Jared, Aaron Jones is off the board, and Mark Andrews.
Okay, so if I'm being honest about this, I love this guy. He's been sitting there for 4 rounds.
You know you want him.
And I am going to take him for one reason, because the Cam Ward is like, we want to see where he's at, right? It's just like, it could be a great thing, it could be a bad thing.
Yep.
Jackson Dart, kind of the same thing, good thing, bad thing, in a sense of like the injury kind of woes that he had last year.
Damn. Yeah,
So,
I just realized you got the 2 upside second-year QB.
So
swings.
as I'm looking at this, I want to be safe in what I want to do, and I want a steady ground. I had him last year; he was a stud for me. It is going to be hard for him to repeat what he did last year, but he does have the offense and the receivers there for him to repeat what he did last year, and that's where I'm going to take Matthew Stafford, just to be that kind of steady ground if I do need another him to step in and get me steady points throughout the week.
Yeah, I'm with
Hell
that.
yeah, brother. True Rams fan right there. 4 rounds and you let your MVP quarterback just sit there. Wow.
Fake.
Wow. I bet you don't even want Aaron Donald to come back.
Shut up. Going over to Keone's next pick. Travis Kelce's off the board, Quentin Johnston, Romeo Doubs, and Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, you know, I had sort of an idea of what I wanted to do here at the turn. That might have changed a little bit just because of how the board fell. And to be honest, there's 2 names here that I'm looking at that might be my back-to-back picks. 2 guys that I didn't think were going to make the round here, but for some reason there was like this weird tight end run right there. So those 2 rounds just had a lot of tight ends. Not sure why. Not sure what strategy the sleeper guys are trying to do here. But
it's
yeah,
called panic.
Kind of. I was like, wow, they just went after all the tight ends there. So I'm going to go ahead and with my first pick, going to grab another tight end because, like I said, been mentioning it every pod that we've done thus far. Like to double up just so I don't have to make the moves, and going to grab Brenton Strange here with my first pick at the turn. And with my second pick, I'm actually going to grab a guy who has been making waves throughout training camps. Somebody that's been generally at the top of the RB depth group. I know that they just drafted somebody with the 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft, but Tyler Algier signed a massive contract and has been showing out as the guy. In case the Jonathan Brooks thing doesn't work out, I have a guy who I do still believe has a very, very safe floor. It definitely has the goal line role. And somebody who I just firmly believed deserved to be in a spot where he could be the workhorse back, because I do still think he had a year without Bijan Robinson, and he was one of the best running backs in the NFL. And then he got, just absolutely shafted when they grabbed Bijan, who, understandably so, an elite talent. But I'm going to go ahead and grab Tyler Algier here. Wasn't going to do it. Had a different plan here, but we adjust, So Tyler Algier with the 12th round pick. I don't know why Jadarian Price just somehow always slips through the cracks in these sleeper drafts, but I don't know. I didn't even know he was still on the board, but it's okay. You know what I mean? We got Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Jadarian Price, Kenyon Sadiq, and Casey Concepcion. So we had a little bit of a rookie run there. Back to you, Boog. Who do you want to grab here with your 12th pick?
I think with my 12th pick, as the faithful, Rams fan. I think I'm going to have to just be that Rams fan and just be back-to-back. And, I'm going to take their defense because, nobody else wants the Rams players. Nobody wants the Rams players, She passed on Puka Nacua.
I'm not going to lie.
He passed on, Matt Stafford.
Pass on Puka Nacua. I didn't think about that. I thought, I'm not going to lie, that's where I was going to go. I was going to go defense, but
I thought you were too.
It just happened that the two guys that I was kind of like,
you always get Brenton Strange, and like he was there, so you got to take him.
I wasn't thinking that was going to happen, so I was just like, well, I'm going to go for the I guess sneaky pick and grab my defense, but nah, it didn't happen. So
Who are you taking, Nolan?
Well, yeah, this one definitely gonna take my last. I don't want to say last. My running back for this specific round. Um, Contrary to a lot of what we've talked about in this offseason, I have heard some good things where he's getting a lot of the first read touches out of the backfield for the Minnesota Vikings. And I am returning back to the well that is Jordan Mason.
Oh boy, why do you do it to yourself?
Because this is a mock draft.
Oh boy. All right, we got Xavier Worthy, Jaden Higgins, the Houston Texans defense, Jawan Jennings, the Seahawks, and A.J. Barr.
Also, Nolan, you
there
did pass on Kyron Williams too. Just letting you know.
All right.
Why don't you keep an eye on your draft instead of my draft, huh?
Because I'm in the middle. I have to wait for forever.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
personal
and
problem.
Ty Simpson's still sitting there. So
That's crazy.
yeah.
Oh, let's see. You know, we adapt. We adapt to what's going on. I saw what you guys had in the, I guess you could say, the last quarter of your draft from the one that you guys did last week. You two. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with defense. Looking at me right now is the Philadelphia Eagles, strong team, coming back at it. I don't think they really did too many variable changes in their defense, so I am going to trust them for this. Actually, you know what? Oh, no. It just slipped my eye.
I will
Denver
say,
Broncos.
yeah, it's like in defense of how we're picking and talking about these things, we are also actively looking through these boards while the timer is running down. So, you know what I mean? I'm talking through it. I'm thinking like, oh, this is the best available. And nope, there's somebody else better available.
Way down the line.
Yeah, exactly.
And as
So
I
Woody
look
Marks
through
and
it-
Zach Charbonnet back to the books. Yeah.
Let's see. As I look through it, I mean, usually by now I have my team set, and so I think I'm just gonna go ahead and round out my team. I'm gonna go grab my kicker now. He's been one of the top scorers. I took him in the last draft with Keone. Doesn't really need to talk much about it, but Brandon Aubrey's pretty money when you come down to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and steal him now before anybody else does.
Yep. Good pick.
Heading over to Keone, the Eagles defense is off the board. Tyrone Tracy, Jalen Coker, and Tyjae Spears.
Yeah. So again,
I just realized also, like, when Keone's like shifting through the list, we can see what he's looking at.
No, that's it's funny. That's exactly why like I haven't been like I've been like actively thinking of players because I was like, if I'm looking at them, I know you guys are gonna see who I'm looking at. So I haven't been like looking at the names that I want to grab most of the time. But yeah, and this shows you how competitive we are. This is a mock draft. This is even the real draft.
And we're all
I'm trying to hide my secret.
Who you taking, Keone? Who you taking?
But anyway, just because, like I said, I'd like to reiterate that I do like to have my backups in place just in case. You know what I mean? I don't like to have to do the whole dropping somebody right off the rip when I have my first bye week. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my third QB here. There's somebody who I still believe has a very high ceiling, was obviously very, very good last year, was one of the – actually not one of the – he was the number one offense last year. As you know, as we'll see this year, obviously things are a lot different. He's coming off an injury, all that sort of stuff. But I already have two QBs that I believe in wholeheartedly, can run out there all day, and that is Daniel Jones here for my third QB in the 13th round. And that obviously locks me into – having to grab my kicker and defense here with the last two picks, but I'm okay with that. The way things have been trending, I'm perfectly fine with grabbing my defense here and then sort of working through the whatever kicker I end up. I mean, obviously this is sleeper, so we've had some weird things where weird kickers get picked, and then, you know what I mean, all that sort of stuff happens, and things get all weird there. Looking at the defenses here, there's obviously a few that I really, really like. There's one that I clearly, you know, have a heart for. But knowing the upside of this defense, knowing the talent on this defense, and knowing how well they perform over the last couple of years, They're a team that I still feel like is going to be one of the top defenses. It's one of the reasons why this team made the playoffs this last year. They obviously have, a head coach that is more offensive minded, but that defense hadn't lost a step, and they proved that this last year by being just one of the elite ones. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Jacksonville Jaguars here as my defense in the 14th round. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to do that.
We see his cheat sheet.
Yeah. We got Josh Downs, Trey Benson, Dicker the kicker, and Alvin Kamara Nadabug.
Like Keone had talked about, where we kind of don't like to drop people. I'm not really the biggest fan of adding and dropping people. So in these late rounds, I mean, Tyler Warren's one of the best tight ends that you can grab in the draft. I think this is the guy that's still available as he drops down through this offense. He's kind of been very reliable for them, even despite his injuries and whatnot. Sure-handed, always kind of been a big part of the offense for the Minnesota Vikings, and that's T.J. Hawkinson. So I'm going to go ahead and grab him here in the 14th round.
It's actually crazy that T.J. Hawkinson is this low right now.
No, for real, though. Trust me.
Yeah. Emmett Johnson, Tyreek Hill, who's still not on a team and Sleeper loves for some reason, back to Nolan. Yeah.
Yeah, for this one, I am going to pick up my third QB as well. Not many quality options left, but there is a guy that
Tuas.
Not many Tuas. Actually, that's exactly what it's going to be.
Simpson. Ty Simpson.
There's not going to be too many quality options left on the board, but he is going to be a starting QB.
No, I'm just joking.
Jesus. All right. It's Tua, okay? I'm picking Tua. I like that he's going to be starting week 1, and I think that this is a big opportunity for him to come into a team that has very strong weapons for him to actually use. So this will be fun to see, and he is my third QB, so at this point, if it looks like things are going bad, I can always just drop him and pick up someone that may be stepping in for him. Maybe Michael Penix, depending on what the status of
I like the
everything
Tua
is.
pick, though. Yeah.
Boom.
Right on. So Harrison Melvis, Omar Cooper, Jonah Coleman. I don't know I don't even know what his first name is. Borgalis, Antonio Williams, and the Baltimore Ravens back to Nolan.
Yeah, need a kicker. Fairbairn it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess. No.
I guess. He's just... Yeah. Going
All
over
right,
to
Patriots
Jared.
and Vikings. Okay. I was waiting for you.
Patriots defense and the Vikings defense.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I took this guy the last time. He finally has a team. He's going back to his home where he literally was one of the top receivers.
Are you too good for your home?
Pick 15, you can't go wrong with an MVP caliber quarterback that's projected to be there. I'm going to go and I'm going to take Deebo Samuel of the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, yeah. He just dropped all the way down the list. That's a good pick. Heading over to Keone's last pick, Dylan Sampson, Braylon Allen, Kansas City Chiefs defense, and the Detroit Lions defense.
I don't know if it's a bug. Do we have another round?
I don't believe.
I don't see it.
There's 3 or 4 teams that didn't grab kickers, so it's kind of.
Oh, maybe.
But I also set it up where I swear we were supposed to have 16 rounds, so it's also.
Maybe
weird
it's just not on the screen then.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess when I make this pick, but I guess if
Now
this
watch
isn't
this
the final
drive.
round. Actually, no, I'm not going to grab him because I just grabbed who I grabbed right before this, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm actually going to go with my kicker, so Chris Boswell. I don't think I have any Pittsburgh Steelers on the team. Oh, but
there
there's
it
a
is.
16 round. Yep, and there it is. Right on. That actually
Dang
worked
it.
out. Because there's one more
It's rolling,
position that I did want to grab. I know. Yeah, perfect. Because the guy that I really want here at the end happens to be at the top of the list, and that's Denzel Boston, man. He's been showing out in Cleveland. They believe that he's going to be wide receiver 1 for that group. There's a few other options here. This is where I'd like to take the swing, but I have this feeling with Cleveland, man. I know that sounds crazy. I know they still have a lot of turmoil. There's actually been a lot of fights throughout training camp. I think today there was like a report that Jared Verse and Spencer Fano got into it. But all that being said, tremendously improved offense. The offensive line is a lot better. Their wide receiver room's a lot deeper. They have two really, really solid rookies that have been showing out throughout training camp. And then, of course, they have this quarterback situation that they're heading into with, Shadur Sanders and Deshaun Watson kind of battling for that top spot. Dylan Gabriel's still there, I guess. And then, all that being said, Denzel Boston has been kind of the clear number one for the offense thus far, and I'm going to go ahead and grab him because I firmly believed he was one of the best receivers in this draft. Really thought there was a chance he could have fell to the Steelers at some point throughout the draft, but that didn't end up happening. So Denzel Boston here with my 16th and final pick. There's those kickers I was wondering about. We got Cam Little, Eddie Pinero, Pittsburgh Steelers, Harrison Butker, and now back to Boog.
I don't know if it was last time, but at least today they actually have
actual people. Yeah, that was
kickers.
good. Yeah, I really liked that. Yeah.
Who do I want to grab? I was like so happy I got Debo at 15, and I really don't know what I want to do right now. I think I'm going to actually take a wide receiver here. I like to stock up just in case things fall through and people don't get love and injuries happen. I think this is a wide receiver that's been sure-handed in the past. He's his second year with this team. New quarterback, could get a lot of love, and I'm going to go with Adonai Mitchell.
Nice. I like that pick.
That's a good pick.
Been a slept-on name.
Yeah.
Jake Bates, Tyler Loop, and back to Nolan.
Yeah, I mean, now that I know there was an extra round we were going to be drafted in, I'll probably just take a backup tight end right now. There's been a lot of good things talked about him thus far, but it is a very dangerous pick to make, which is why I would reserve him as a backup in the 16th round. I'm going Terrence Ferguson.
Nice.
Oh, you got your Rams player.
Suck it.
Jerry Jeudy, Will Reichard, and Travis Hunter to finish out our draft. This one went interesting. You know what I mean? I was like,
for real though.
definitely a lot of. It's funny. I was like, in my head though, this feels kind of on brand with I feel where our league might be drafting to, just because there's a lot of avoiding the quarterbacks, grabbing a lot of skill positions, all that sort of stuff. So, just I guess because we do have something else we do want to throw into this podcast, which is kind of talking about the preview of our upcoming draft and all that sort of stuff before we do that draft. Just going to get quick notes on your team, things you like, that kind of stuff, picking from your position, all those sorts of things. Last-minute advice you want to give to people at home. So let's start off with you, Nolan. What do you think about your draft and how it turned out for you?
I think this one, compared to the other mock drafts that I've done, definitely a lot more upside swings. Just kind of how the draft was moving, it seemed like I had to do a little bit more top-heavy work in the first maybe 6 rounds or so, and then kind of play our knowledge, I would say, in those middle rounds. Like, we were alluding to it as we kind of got there, where there was a lot more time being taken to think out what we were about to do. Definitely happy with my running back room. The Jordan Mason one is just kind of there as that little backup. At any given time, technically, I would be using 2 running backs unless the bye week comes around or what have you. But I'm happy with Marvin Hampton, Derrick Henry, and Breece Hall. 2 starting QBs, Drake May, Baker Mayfield. I think these are very safe floor quarterbacks who can bring out boom games, if you will. When it comes to the wide receivers, I'm a little hesitant on how I feel about them. Obviously, I have Amon-Ra, but Carnell Tate, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman, all of them, by definition, on new teams, we have yet to see how it's going to look when push comes to shove, when they get on the grass in the field and actually go at it against another team. So I'm a little hesitant to see how those will kind of play out. Parker Washington, I have the utmost faith in him because I do think that they're using him a lot in training camp, and that's not for anything. They're going to use him this season a lot. And even as last season progressed, I think he looked like the much more trusted and sure-handed receiver between Jacoby Myers and BTJ. I other than that, yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. I just think that it's one of those where I'm going to be holding my breath a lot, kind of entering those first couple weeks just to see how those second half picks kind of play out.
Yeah. I was like, honestly, I'm going to agree more about your take on your team. I think it looks really good, and honestly, kind of looks like a team that I might have drafted at some point during this whole thing. So, anyway, over to you, Boog. Thoughts and opinions on your draft and how things went. Obviously, you had a tough time with the 7th pick, but thoughts on how everything went.
I mean, being the 7th pick, it sucks. But I think for a lot of the players that I did get to pick, I got pretty good value for. I would say the only hard part for where it is being 7 was literally I have more high upside guys than like high floor guys. And when it comes to their quarterbacks, where it comes to what Etienne's going to do this year with that new Tyler Shuck offense, Jonathan Taylor, we know he's going to bring to the table. Jackson Dart should have a breakout, a good comeback year off of his injury, getting everybody back healthy, getting him Malik Neighbors, who's still getting back to form, but he's still got a new head coach. He's got Isaiah Likely there. Like, he's got a lot of help that's going to help him get there, where it's not going to be just some Malik Neighbors and get overrun, get re-injured, and there goes your season again. Antonio Brown, new home, hopefully happier in the system with a great quarterback. Oh, sorry, not that. AJ Brown. Sorry.
So I was like, whoa.
I was like New England Antonio Brown. Sorry.
Yeah.
No,
What did we just get?
Exactly. No.
That would've been nuts. I was like, just look at his draft, like 16th round, Antonio Brown.
Jared's got the CTE.
Hey, you already know. No. With Drake May there, I think that's going to be great. Same thing for Chris Olave, Tyler Shuck's first full year under center. It's going to be good for him there. Tyler Warren is going to come back into that role because Daniel Jones is coming back. I talked about Cam Ward. I think for me, Jacoby Myers. We talked about Parker Washington. We talked about Jacoby Myers. I think those are going to be your top 2. BTJ has kind of fallen off, I guess you would say, in the last couple of years. Who knows? Maybe he makes a comeback year this year. But for me, that's where it was at. I wanted Tony Pollard in that Chuba Hubbard spot, but you can't go wrong with a running back who is their RB1 out there, who's going to get a lot of touches, who helps balance their offense. So I think Chuba at that time. And then I went and I got Rashad White because we talked about it, where he's probably going to end up usurping and being the RB1 out in Washington, since, they don't have a running back, since they let Brian Robinson go last year? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And so, since then, and then my safety net of grabbing Matt Stafford, I think that was a great value pick there for a quarterback as good as Matt Stafford. Then going back to back with the Rams there, because, they were supposed to be the top tier defense with that big trade that they had with Myles Garrett, because as a true Rams fan, we know how good they are out here in LA. So, and then I got a very sure foot out there in Brandon Aubrey, who was one of the top point getters in the leagues. TJ Hawkinson, same thing. I can't believe he fell to 14 for a tight end who was one of the top tier tight ends in any offense in any league. To get him at the 14 in an offense that he's still very a part of, just he's been dealing injuries. And then Deebo Samuel and Adonai Mitchell, I think they're new receivers in systems that they could possibly get a lot of love, especially where Deebo is, because he is going back home. He gets to play with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was one of his favorite targets. Shanahan knows how to use him. And Adonai Mitchell was a big target getter when he was in Indianapolis, which I foresee him getting a lot of love here out in New York as well. So,
yeah,
despite being 7th, I mean, I feel like I had a pretty good draft.
Yeah.
Pretty mid. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, because I was in the mid.
We can tell.
Yeah, it's funny because I was like, I can tell that this was going to probably be one of my favorite drafts that we've done thus far, because I'm in the position that I like the most. I like being at the ends, man. The ends are the best because you can just do you don't have to really think about, will this guy fall to me and all that sort of stuff. I like the idea that I can just go back to back, grab 2 guys that I'm mulling over and just kind of have them on my team. So it was really nice to fill out my team this way, very similarly to how my draft this Friday will end up being. So pretty excited about the possibility of what can happen here at the end. I'm already thinking ahead of whether or not talent's going to fall to me and all that sort of stuff. There's going to be probably a few of these that won't fall to me, so I'm going to end up having to, grab guys in different spots or grab guys that are past me in this draft specifically to kind of fill that spot. But I do really like how this one turned out. Very even. Very even on the wide receiver side. Very even on the running back side. Was able to space out my quarterbacks, so that was also really nice to be able to do. Filled out, both my bench and my starting unit, so I still have guys that I can pull from in case anything happens, injuries, all that sort of stuff. One of the main things I will say, too, when I'm looking at kind of my draft board before we move on to the talking about Friday is that I was just glad that I didn't overthink any of the extra stuff, because I know there's so many people who like to think about like the bye week stuff, and like, yes, that can be a detriment, and it does suck if you have a whole team that's out for a bye week. If you plan accordingly, it's 1 week. I mean,
and if your team is strong as hell, it
Yeah.
won't matter if
you
lose
don't,
that
you
one
won't gotta,
week.
yeah, exactly. So that's why I was like, in my head, I'm not gonna overthink the bye week thing. I'm not gonna overthink the triple team whatever group thing. Like, if you have the ability to grab talent, grab the talent. I just like that my team looks very strong on paper. So anyway, boys, we obviously have a draft that's coming up this Friday. This week is going to be, I don't know how it is going to be for you guys. Yeah, I'm so excited for it. You guys will obviously be hearing this on the day that we'll be drafting. So for those who don't know, we're going to be in Vegas again. This will be the 4th year in a row that we've done it, right? 4th year? Yeah, so this is year 4 of this annual Vegas trip, so it should be a really, really good time. This year we'll be drafting from the Venetian Cabana, so keep an eye out for that video. We have a couple of things in store for you as far as content, especially here on the YouTube, where a lot of people have been showing us love recently. We've been having an uptick in views and all sorts of stuff, so we thank you guys for kind of coming out and checking out these videos. But most importantly, we have a draft to worry about on Friday, so we're going to be stressing, all the way up until our teams are finalized. This is obviously very competitive with the group that we have, because we were already competitive. Now we've been kind of together for a few years now, and it's been sort of the same guys, and we've had our winners, and the winners have been changing every year, so it's been really nice. Kind of liking it to the NBA, you know what I mean? Just like guys always battling for the top, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Looking at the landscape of things, obviously you guys know who the keepers are. You know what players were traded and all that sort of stuff. So we kind of know the grouping of guys that we have and what 12 players will not be available for you. Who are you guys most worried about, especially now looking at where you're drafting from? And most importantly, what are the things that you're going to do to adjust, so that we, for our viewers here, they know how to adjust accordingly for their draft. So I guess I'll start off with you, Nolan, since we started off with you on the last one. Thoughts? Who are you most worried about, and what are you thinking about doing? Yeah, in our league. In our league, the parameters fully set. So before we get in, before I let you talk, we obviously have 16 rounds. We're Superflex. We have the keepers. So the first round has about 2 of them, I think. And then the rest are smattered out throughout the rest of the rounds. But you know where you're at. This is the draft position you're going to be at pick 4. Any worries, anything you've seen, or as we've done these mock drafts, or that are keeping you kind of up at night?
I would say worried. I'd say the only one that I know does his research.
No.
The reason I don't say worried is because I know it'll be used against me when we're around here. But the one that I do know does his research is Shao. There's countless times where I've just ridden in the car with him, and it auto plays on his car. He's like listening to a YouTube draft analysis. And I'm just like, this guy
acts like he doesn't care.
I know. He definitely sent me a picture one time, I think, of when he was making the whiskey, and you could see in the background on his TV, he was looking at a draft analysis for fantasy. I was like, look, man, he's also been very open about worrying about his keeper, because his keeper choices are not necessarily
the greatest
to highlight. But I know that he comes into the game prepared for what players. He's the guy
for people at home.
He's also the guy that he takes those reaches. I think last year was the Woody Marks reach, hoping for that one to pan out, and he could be doing that again this year, and we'll kind of see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's an X factor at the pick 8, I believe he is, for the draft. So.
I think so. Yeah. So Jared's
he's right after me.
Yeah, so he's butted up right against Boog. But Boog, you're at pick 7. Obviously,
So
you saw
Jared,
how
you got to
things
mess
went
him
today.
up, please.
You got to see how the chaos played out, so it was obviously pretty rough for you having to adjust often because you couldn't tell who was coming to you and all that sort of stuff. Who are you most worried about? What are you thinking about for this draft? How are you going to adjust? All that sort of stuff.
I mean, most worried about. I'm always worried about your dad because he always does his homework as well. Like he's always on top of it. He knows like 2-3 rounds
Actually,
ahead.
he's not a threat through 2 rounds. You know,
Yeah.
he doesn't have his first pick until the 3rd round this year.
Which
so.
pick is he?
He's pick 2.
Dang it.
And yeah, he's not. He doesn't have a pick until the 3rd round. So
Yeah. So for me, yeah, that's usually the person I worry about. And then I kind of worry about you and Kirsten being at 10 and 12 because that is the wrap. Knowing that I don't have a first round pick in CMC because that's who my keeper was. Waiting to the 2nd round to see who comes off the board. We already know the 12 players that are off the board, but then on top of that, knowing that I have to literally wait for everybody else to happen is going to be stressful, especially with the way that you pick, and then the steals that Kirsten stole last year when she was at the first part of the snake, right? So for me, I think it's just about when you're in the 7th, like 6, 7, 8 for me. Know who you want, but also just be patient. I think being patient when looking ahead, knowing that your guy is probably going to get picked, so having 2, 3 options, maybe even 4 at some point, is always going to get you ahead of the game. And it has to be 3 or 4 picks that you're actually okay with looking at. Not like, oh, well, the 4 guys that I wanted are gone. Now I'm panic picking. It's like I kind of know like I'll have 1, 2, 3 where these 3 could possibly get picked. That 4th pick is somebody that I know is probably supposed to go 3rd or 4th round, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get him here because I know how the rest of the draft's gonna look at. So in that regard, being 7, I think that's my best advice. And if it doesn't go your way, just know that there are beverages that help you along the way. So there are beverages that help you along the way, and don't be afraid to use them because sometimes it clears your gut very well to be like, oh, you don't second guess yourself and you go with your. You don't second guess yourself and you go with your first initial person. And I think most times we second guess so much that we go away from actually who we really want. And I think that also does help as well. So
that's a good point. I mean, overthinking is definitely going to be a thing when we're drafting this time. Yeah, exactly.
That's the 3 of us over here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, to go along with the lines of kind of what we've already mentioned, obviously, like I obviously view you guys as threats throughout the draft process just because we do run a podcast together, and more specifically with Nolan. I mean, we've been doing this podcast talk for 2-3 months now at this point, talking about guys that we feel like are top tier, guys we feel like are in whatever. We have our list made out. We have obviously our tier lists like fully fleshed out for you on the podcast. Go ahead and check those out if you haven't already. Tiers 1 through 5 are available. We did sleepers. We did a whole bunch of things. Like we did a lot of research this offseason together. So I think that definitely is a worry of mine because our lists were similar. There were some big differences.
Thankfully, we're far from each other, at least in the pick process. Yeah,
exactly what I was going to say is like, thankfully, I don't have to worry too much about you because we're far enough where like I shouldn't have to reach all the way past somebody you would have grabbed in the round after
I'll
me
mess
or
them up
vice
for you.
versa. I mean, obviously, and then with Boog, his whole thing is chaos. So obviously, him being in between us is not a great thing.
Chaos.
But with that said, my number 1 threat is going to be Kirsten because she's picking at pick 10.
And you just drafted with her this past weekend.
Yeah, and if it was
you
this
already know.
vanilla draft that she did in this one, that would be great. But this is undoubtedly no one she's looking at on this board. So there's a lot of guys that I'm looking at on my team that I'm like, would not be surprised to end up on her team. We have very similar ideas of players that we want to grab and all that sort of stuff. So her being so close to me is definitely going to be something that I am not super excited about. Yeah, it definitely one of the people that I know does her research. She obviously is very good in fantasy football. She won 3 years in a row for our other league. So I mean, she might be going for Title IV after seeing how her team panned out on Saturday. So, with that said, though, we're going to adjust. Things are going to get, interesting. And, hopefully this year, especially because I'm, again, at the 12th pick, being able to go back-to-back, I mess up more of her draft than she messes up my draft, you know what I mean? Because I'll have the ability to grab two guys that we probably both are going to be eyeing at the same time. So, yeah, this one's going to get I almost can't wait to draft again, but I just can't wait till my team is set, and then I know who I can, you know what I mean? I know who I can cheer for and all that sort of stuff. But, I will say my biggest advice right now, and one of the things that's made me the most comfortable having gone through this draft process now a few times, tier lists, man. Tier lists make such a big difference. Having the ability to sort of sort through guys that, like, in one position, you're contemplating this wide receiver, but you have the ability to grab, like, tier 2 running back and you have tier 4 wide receivers available. The clear separation there, to me, just don't overthink the talent. Grab the guy that's higher. Like, to me, it's so helpful if you can do that. I know that's a little bit of a sweaty thing, but if you have the time to put together tiers, do it. It makes me so much more comfortable drafting and feeling like I don't have to worry about XYZ player going off the board because I have XYZ, A, B, C, D, E, F, G all behind those three. So, definitely something I would definitely highly recommend if you are preparing for your draft and you do have one coming up really quickly. So, boys, I'm excited for this trip.
3 days of work and then we're there.
I have 3 days that I'm trying to, you know what I mean,
not think about and just be like, it's Thursday already?
Lock into work. Exactly. I was just like, lock into work. Thursday night we get on the flight, all that sort of stuff. And obviously this will also be the bachelor party weekend, so pretty excited for that part of it as well. But
wait, there's what?
Okay.
I had no idea.
Anyway,
am I invited to that?
Nope. No, just kidding. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, so very, very excited. Boys, anything you want to say to the lovely people at home before we bounce on out of this podcast and, join them once again when we're in Vegas?
Hey, if you guys are listening to any fantasy pages or anything like that, and you have multiple pages or podcasts that are saying the same thing about a certain player, don't overthink it. Where there's smoke, there's fire in the best way possible. Trust it.
Wow, so wise. Mine is literally
coaching me.
If you're pick 7, good luck. I feel your pain.
Oh, boy.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Or if not, like you said, more. No, I'm just kidding.
Facts, though. It's going to happen.
Anyway, it's been a pleasure. It's been a joy from all of us here at Poi and Soy.
Good vibes and love, everybody.
Bang, bang.
Shoots.